This is the weekly energy reading for May 10th through May 16th, guided by the I Ching and the Tao Te Ching. Some weeks teach restraint by narrowing the path. Others begin asking what must be fed if something true is going to grow. Last Sunday opened with Hexagram 60, changing at line 1 to Hexagram 29. Limitation moving toward the abysmal. What unfolded through the week showed that the lesson was never only about pressure. It was about how pressure can be met without hardening. At first, there was strain, then balance returned. Grounded growth became possible, something unnecessary dissolved. Emotional stillness followed. From there, humility deepened, energy restored, clarity sharpened. This was not random movement. It was a quiet progression of refinement. The week taught that limits were not there to punish movement. They were there to keep it clean. Depth did not have to become fear. Constraint did not have to become struggle. Difficulty did not have to be answered with force. That is what made the reading real in lived form. Limitation set the measure. The abysmal tested the spirit within it, and what emerged was steadier than what entered. Less urgency, more balance. Less reaction, more clarity. That is the ground the week leaves behind. Because once a path has taught right measure, the next question is no longer only how to move through difficulty. The next question is what is being nourished as something new begins to form. That is the movement now. This week opens with Hexagram 27, changing at lines 5 and 6 to Hexagram 3, providing nourishment, moving toward difficulty at the beginning. Hexagram 27 is mountain above thunder. Thunder below stirs and seeks movement. The mountain above holds and restrains. Together, they form the image of appetite governed by stillness. This week asks, what is being fed? Not only in the body, in the mind, in the emotions, in the habits of attention. Hexagram 27 teaches that nourishment is never neutral. What you repeatedly take in becomes character. What you encourage grows stronger. What you reward reveals your path. So the reading begins with a direct question. What is actually being nourished now? Peace or desire? Clarity or agitation? Equanimity or appetite? That is why the image of the mouth matters. An open mouth can receive wisely. It can also consume blindly. So the first work of the week is discernment. Not everything that wants feeding should be fed. Not every craving is guidance. Not every impulse deserves continuation. The text is clear that desire multiplies itself. When the mind feeds on wanting, ambition follows, fear follows, ego strengthens. Then another demand appears. So the reading asks for a different form of nourishment: quiet, meditation, tranquility in thought, speech, and action. That is what strengthens the superior self. Then line 5 changes the condition. There is weakness because of an inferior element. Something in the field is draining strength rather than building it. Something is being tolerated that should not continue. So the guidance is not to push ahead. Seek wise counsel first. Root out what is inferior first. Do not build on compromised ground. Progress made while corruption remains unexamined will not hold. Then line 6 lifts the movement higher. One who truly emulates the sage gains influence. What began as discernment about nourishment becomes leadership through example. If the higher way is followed consistently, others can be guided without force. That is why the reading changes to Hexagram 3. Difficulty at the beginning. Hexagram 3 is water above thunder. Thunder below pushes upward and begins to emerge. The water above brings uncertainty, pressure, and patience. Together, they form the image of new life struggling into form. The reading does not move from nourishment into ease. It moves from right nourishment into emergence under pressure. Something real is beginning, but it is not yet stable. The blessing is present, but hidden inside disorder. So the week asks for patience. Do not intervene too quickly. Do not force resolution. Do not try to clear chaos with willpower. Life is trying to organize itself, and that process cannot be rushed without damage. so the progression is clear. Watch what is being fed. Remove what weakens. Nourish what is true. Then endure the awkwardness of beginning without trying to control it. The deeper reflection for this week comes from chapter 34 of the Tao Te Ching. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness, thus it is truly great. This chapter brings the whole reading back to the source of right nourishment. The great Tao flows everywhere. It gives life. It supports growth. It nourishes all things. Yet it does not grasp what it nourishes. It does not possess what it sustains. It does not make a claim. That is why it fits this week so well. Hexagram 27 asks, what is being fed? What is being strengthened? What is being encouraged in the body, in the mind, and in the spirit? Then the changing lines make the lesson more exact. Something inferior must be rooted out before further progress can hold. Something higher must be embodied, so influence becomes clean. Then the reading changes to Hexagram 3. A real beginning is present, but it is still tender, still forming, still surrounded by pressure. Chapter 34 helps explain how to meet that beginning. The Tao nourishes without controlling. That may be the center of the week. Because when something new begins, the instinct is often to interfere, to push growth, to claim progress too early, to force structure onto what is still trying to find its shape. But the Tao does not do that. It pours itself into its work, yet makes no claim. This is the deeper model of nourishment. Feed what is true. Support what is emerging. Offer presence, steadiness, and right influence. But do not grasp, do not possess. Do not try to own the unfolding. That is true greatness in this chapter, not dominance, not self-importance. Humility. The Tao nourishes infinite worlds and still remains hidden in their hearts. That is exactly the correction this week needs. Right nourishment is generous without being possessive. It is steady without being intrusive. It gives life without making that life belong to itself. This matters even more as the reading changes to difficulty at the beginning. New growth is easily damaged by impatience. Beginnings are distorted when the ego tries to manage what should be gently tended. So the weak does not ask for louder influence. It asks for truer nourishment. Feed what is peaceful. Feed what is clear. Feed what is aligned with the higher way. Then let what is beginning emerge in its own time. The Tao is great because it does not cling to its greatness. That is the paradox at the heart of the week. The most powerful nourishment is the kind that does not try to control what it feeds. That is how life grows cleanly. That is how beginnings survive difficulty.